There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank! We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch. I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Nan Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Fifth Dimension of Twilight Zone podcast, a podcast where we talk about Rod Serling's famous TV series that did crazy things that are still relevant today, prescient today, Nan Adams today, Hot Cup of Uranus is today, you know, those types of things and all that good stuff. I am your host, Nick, as always, as they like to remind me every time we record. But we're here to talk about episode 4 of season 2 of the Twilight Zone. I do want to say right now, we were supposed to have a guest on this week. Unfortunately, there were some personal issues. They could not be on. That, of course, is Ashley. We'll have Ashley on at some point too, because she has, you know, a really cool book series that she's working on right now. So I just want to kind of throw that out there that she is currently has some books on Goodreads. I think it is. Is that right, Triv? Jacob?
It's not Goodreads, it's good something else.
Okay.
It's also coming out on
Good Times.
It's coming out in Good Times.
Your face is Good Times. Let's see.
Anyways, she's been working on these books for quite a while, so definitely give it a check out. You know, she has it on her Twitter account. I still keep saying Twitch, but you know, once again, she'll be on later on because she's gonna have the paperback / hardback copies.
Good novel is what it's called. Goodnovel.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goodnovels.com. So look out for that. But anyways, just want to give you a heads up on that. But I think we will have somebody on next week. I hope. So anyways, yeah, we're here to talk about the Twilight Zone, and I can't do this podcast alone, or I could, and take all the glory of the 35 cents we've made off this podcast so far. But anyways, without further ado, I have to introduce my co-hosts who make this podcast worth recording every week, or I probably would go insane. We of course have Triv, the 2D animated character, and Jacob, who is the 2D animated porn star. How you guys doing?
Well, you talk about glory. Are you talking about the glory hole?
No, it's about the glory of love.
I got stories of glory holes.
Yeah,
Get into it again?
Glory holes are about glory of love. I would think so.
Oh yeah,
that's my OnlyFans channel. Glory holes, then glory of love.
I would have thought it'd be cupofuranus.com.
No, that's my secret, black market channel. I don't tell anybody about
OnlyFans.
Well, they know now.
Damn it! See, I knew this podcast was a mistake. I was doing so well. I made that whopping $66.
Since Ashley's not here this week to promote her book, I'm here to promote my new book, Ride the Pony. It's my reflective self biopic about my gigolo days on the streets.
I thought that was Ride the Matrimony Pony, or is that your sequel?
That's the sequel to Ride the Pony. So that's actually Ride the
Jesus.
Pony. Ride the Mahogany Pony. But
better than riding the pommel horse.
Check it out now. It's on a street corner near you.
So if I go out to my closest street corner, will I see you there?
No, not now. Back then, yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay.
It's like trying to, just doing that hustle for the, the cocaine or hookers and blow.
You did it for the anal raccoons, is what you're saying.
I just needed the blow. I was the hooker, so.
You know what? I'm gonna create a theme park with blackjack and hookers and blow. Forget about that blackjack and was it blow or whatever it is. Damn it, I fucked that up.
Yes, you did.
I got you. I'm with you. I'm on board with you.
So, folks, this has been the Twilight Zone podcast for this week. Tune in next week where we talk about things that have absolutely nothing to do with the Twilight Zone. Good night.
Oh, I'm gonna howl the hell out of that podcast.
This shit sounds like the Twilight Zone.
I
mean, this week is all about machines.
I know, vibration machines and washing machines and centaur machines and Uranus machines and cup of machines and bottle machines and we got gumbo and spicy gumbo.
Oh,
guys, we are going places. I'm telling you, this isn't even a podcast anymore. Yeah, we're going full ASMR. We need some noodles, some sweet tea, some sake, and a balloon and some animals, and yeah, There we go. I'm just naming machines.
Oh, good Lord.
It's late, people. I'm sorry. I've ruined it. I'm not really that funny. By the way, guys, you want to know something exciting?
What's
something
that?
grand? Something
What's that?
spectacular?
What's that?
We are on the
Spectabulous?
40th episode of this podcast.
Oh, I knew that. Woo woo. 40.
40. We're over the hill.
Right.
Would you stop that? Stop doing like weird gestures and shit.
What?
Me?
Yes, both of you.
No, I'm moving in my chair because I'm like out of place. Stretch. Sitting in a chair for many hours. I don't know how anybody does it. I don't know how you guys do it.
Well, I'm technically standing, so.
This is true. The chair is just behind you with your cup of whatever and your
Little
My
plant.
ass
double
is
mic. She's
melded with
definitely a
this chair.
BBDA. Double mics.
Shush.
We're 10 away from 50
50.
episodes. So
Big
And
50.
20 away from 60.
I
And you know what?
next time-
30 away from 70.
10 past
You know-
30.
Ooh.
We're 125 episodes from the end.
Holy
One
shit.
away from 41.
And 17 away from 57.
We got stats, mofos.
Yeah.
Stats.
But you know what we don't have? We need
Yeah,
some
we
of that.
don't.
A good
that-
breath.
because anal t-shirts.
Let's get viewers first. Then we'll get merch.
I demand. You haven't watched South Park? First we have the merch, then we have the blank, then we make the monies.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good.
I've been doing
Okay.
it wrong all this time.
I have too. That explains my lack of growth. Anyway.
That's what she said. Anyways,
anal.
Isn't that that's what he said?
No, you
Damn.
said it.
That's what I should have named that thing I'm working on, because anal.
Hey, there's still time.
I got to redo everything. Shit.
Yes, you do. Get on it.
Uh,
And that's also what she said.
well, with that said,
Machines.
this episode is so off the
Everybody needs
rails.
them.
Machines.
right?
Machines. Machismo.
Sex machines.
Machete,
Blood machines.
blood machete. So, as you can tell, we've been stalling because this episode is terrible.
It's not terrible. It's fun, you bastard.
I'm
It's not
kidding,
terrible,
I'm
but
kidding.
it has its issues.
Well, yeah, duh.
Especially Nan Adams, who becomes
Hey,
Nathaniel
spoiler.
Adamus.
Spoiler alert.
That's at the very
Nathaniel
open.
Adamus. They don't know. They don't know. Anyways, we're talking about Twilight Zone season 2, episode 4. I've said that already, but I'm repeating it because it's at this point you've like completely zoned out and forgot what I was even talking about. It's called A Thing About Machines. It's directed by David Orrick McDearmon, written by Rod Serling. Production code 1733645. Premiered 22 years before I was born, I guess. October 22 years and 2 days before I was born, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Hey, happy pre birth. Yeah.
Yay.
Anyways, this stars Richard Haydn. Richard Haydn as Bartlett Finchley, Robert Stewart as Edith Rogers, Barney Phillips as, of course, the TV repairman. And yeah, so 40th episode of the Twilight Zone is a very
It's a funny episode.
It's funny, but it's not meant to be funny, I guess is the easiest
I
way
think
to
it
put
was probably meant to be funny, honestly. I
don't
Maybe.
know.
I don't
I
know.
got
I
a
kind of
word. I got a word for this episode too, but I'll wait till the end to
oh good
describe
lord.
it. It's not bad.
It's a weird episode. It really is. It's an episode that it feels like maybe Rod Serling at some point said, you know what? Fuck them machines. Fuck the people who hate them machines. Let's do an episode where Nan Adams just runs over a man in the pool like Christine or something like that nature.
Maximum
and,
Overdrive.
Maxwell Overdrive and the thing in Creep Show with Stephen King, that type of thing.
Thanks for the ride, lady. You say
You know,
creep
all
show,
they-
I'm going to say thanks for the ride, lady.
All it needs is an AC/DC track, and it'll be, the precursor to Maximum Overdrive, that type of thing. But Triv, I know we talked. You said you remember this episode pretty fondly. Jacob, did you know Nana Adams was going to run over a guy who hates machines?
Nope, don't remember shit about this.
I don't remember this episode either until I
100%
watched it.
foreign to me.
Well, and the main reason I remember this episode is because of its excellent special effects involving a shaver that show up later in this episode. Because they're freaking fantastic.
the shaver,
Exactly.
shaver charmer.
Yes. On a piece of fish wire or fish line. It's awesome.
when it's coming.
It feels like they hired.
Yeah.
It feels like they hired Hammer people or the people in the 50s with.
I'm pretty sure that was Phil Tippett.
Phil oh, shit. Interesting fact.
ILM's first shit.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's an episode that's very obscure. I don't know if many people, when they list their favorite episodes, even remember this episode at all. It's kind of.
I do.
Well, everybody but Triv,
1 out of 3 ain't bad.
Who's normal. Yeah, 1 out of 3. But this episode is interesting. It opens up with this guy named Bartley Finchley who's driving a vehicle to his house, which he is apparently very, very rich. Apparently, you can be very, very rich. Commenting or commentating on food, I guess you could say.
Well, back in the day, I mean, the gourmet people, I mean, you know, they wrote for papers, and I'm sure they probably made decent bank back in the day. So
it's a food critic. I want to be a movie critic and get shit.
I aspire to be you two, so yeah, I don't know. Don't aspire to be me because I'm a loser.
I inspire to be the man in the middle, the man in the mirror, the man in the camera.
Should I aspire to be?
So we've actually gotten a new host today.
Saw that.
Do not invoke that name on this podcast, damn it.
Candy. It's all of a sudden turns into Candyman.
Hi guys.
With the terrible graphics.
About this movie.
The sad thing is I really want to keep this in, but I know I'm gonna have to take it out just because I don't want to be that guy.
I mean, you could be that guy if you wanted to be.
So as this episode continues, this character Bartley Finchley comes off as worse than the guy from Escape Clause, to be fairly honest. He acts like a complete douchebag, complete dick. Yes, he is. Yeah, he's asshat. He completely. So, anyways, he's a douchebag. So he enters his house, and Barney Phillips, the TV repairman, is working on the TV. And well, I mean, that giant head has to hold a Martian, so you know, for future reference. But anyways. But there's some major abuse that is being thrown at poor Barney Phillips in this episode, and Barney Phillips throws shade back at Bart Finchley. And what do you guys think about this? Like, this is like, you know, who was Rod Serling pissed off at CBS to just like make this type of character that really hates life? Is this like what's his face, the guy that, you know, peed in a bunch of jars and built that Spruce Goose plane?
Oh, Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes. Yeah, I don't know if that's what it is, but he comes off just like a guy that just like shits on everyone. It's pretty crazy.
You do make a good point. He does. I didn't see.
I'm not saying he's Howard Hughes. He's not peeing in bottles. But, yeah,
well, not that we know of.
I didn't see anything about this character being based on anybody in real life, but he does seem like whoever wrote it. I'm not sure if Rod Serling wrote it or not, but I think he did. But they based this character on somebody they met in their life.
I mean, this feels like this is like a past Karen or something like that.
It kind of feels that way. And some of the verbiage he uses, like he calls him, and regarded, he's kind of like, you know, pinky in the air type guy, but he refers to the TV repair guy as an itinerant extortionist. Who calls someone that? That's way too many syllables to like put as an
I told you when I was watching. I told you when I was watching this episode, I couldn't keep up with like all the, you know, major words. I'm like, can you repeat that? I think we went back in the episode just to kind of figure out what the hell he was saying, because he said a lot of big words, and I'm not a big words type of guy. So
stop using big words, you stupid son bitch.
It was the 60s. They could use big words back then.
Get a smoking jacket. No.
So what you're saying is, as the years go by, the worse our whatever our
dialogue changes. I'm not saying to get dumber or smarter. I'm just saying dialogue changes.
We definitely got dumber. Definitely got dumber.
We're like we're turning Idiocracy, I'm telling you. So I'm reading this trivia and spoilers, and we're going to talk about it later, but I guess Stephen King was inspired by this episode. So
Yep.
Would not be surprised.
The end of it, he was inspired to write Christine. He was inspired by this and Nan Adams to make Christine.
Makes sense.
but yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Like he belittles like I was sitting there going, this there becomes like a major kind of twist on his character, how he's acting the way he's acting. But when you're watching him and then he like totally goes misogynistic on the woman, and the woman actually argues back with him, and then he's like, he's like getting real sad and shit like that. He's like, don't leave me, these machines are against me. What do you think the message here is in this episode? Do you think it's man who treats people bad gets what he deserves? Like, do you guys have any idea of maybe like what the logic and reasoning? Jacob's shaking says he's like, I don't fucking know. There was it was run by Nan Adams. Who knows?
So I could see two things on this. The first one was actually came from the companion. Was basically it was a twist on the old fantasy or the old story about you kind of reap what you sow. Like you treat people like shit, you're gonna get karma, kind of a thing. The other one that I could see is like there's always those folks, and there's other episodes that kind of go this direction too. But it talks about people railing against technology. I mean, and you see that today. You folks that don't do phones of a certain kind, or they stick to like, quality was better 20 years ago or whatever it might be.
Damn those kids and their world wide webs. And
he was railing against a fucking cuckoo clock. I mean,
agreed.
This shit's been around since like the 1600s or something.
Right. Well, it was basically anything that he couldn't control was basically what it was.
Yeah, you might be on something. I hadn't thought of that. That might be what it is.
That's kind of what I was saying.
That's why we got you here. We need to talk prior to the well, we need to talk about the episode prior to recording. Mm-hmm. I seem a lot smarter.
No, but it's like, I mean, just thinking about like the basic concept, it's just a guy that seems to be upset that he has a television. It's like, I don't know, maybe he's angry that television's actually, it could be like he's angry that television's taken over paper, the idea of like the watching I've heard this story before many times, but a lot of newspaper critics and a lot of movie critics that write for like the different trade papers and stuff like that were really pissed off at like the people that were coming around on television, like, Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel and stuff like that. And that could be this type of thing where maybe he is not willing to change with the times and the things that are changing, like the TV and the phone, which apparently is the phone from, Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that, where like it starts talking to him and shit. Maybe that's where this kind of concept is happening. I don't know, but I think I've passed over some point during the last half hour of us nonsensical talking. The opening narration, which really confused me. I don't know. I was telling Triv when we were watching this episode, I'm like, man, this could be a good time for Jacob trying to read this fucking dissertation of words.
So this is the rest of the episode, everybody. See you on the other end in 30 minutes. This is Mr. Bartlett Finchley, age 48, a practicing sophisticate. Who writes very special and very precious things for gourmet magazines and the like. He's a bachelor and a recluse with few friends, only devotees and adherents to the...
He's
okay?
Like, oh, fuck.
My clock just fell off the wall.
Oh.
I just put
Destroy it now before it takes you out using fish line.
Very good.
I just put it up there today.
Oh,
I guess
no.
that
Do you need to fix that real quick?
No, it's fell behind my desk. I'll get it at some point. I'm not going in all them wires. I did that enough today. Anyway, let's see. Let's pick it up. He's a bachelor and a recluse with few friends, only devotees and adherents to the calls of tart sophistry. He also, I'm sorry. Did I say that sophistry? Is that a word? Okay, I'll just keep going. He has no interest save whatever current annoyances he can put his mind to. He has no purpose to his life except the formulation of day-to-day opportunities to vent his wrath on mechanical contrivances of an age he adores. Abhors. Jesus Christ. Abhors. In short, yeah. Mr. Bartlett Finchley is a malcontent born either too late or too early in a century, and who is just a moment will enter a realm where muscles and the will to fight back are not limited to human beings. Next stop for Mr. Bartlett Finchley, the Twilight Zone. You're going to have to cut the living shit out of that, or you can just leave it.
I almost want to just keep, I just almost want to leave it because it's actually quite entertaining to listen to, because we're talking about an episode where machines are attacking an individual and all of a sudden your clock just falls off the wall. It's just like how ironically perfect that is, I guess. I don't know.
It just kind of like when I was like, why is 12 o'clock at 3 o'clock? Oh, there it
goes. Shit. But there's some good stuff in here. There's Frankenstein-y machines, and he just drove his car slowly. Yeah, exactly. And television goes all on by itself. The radio goes on all by itself. It's one goddamn conspiracy. Actually, I threw that myself.
Typewriter goes all Amityville horror. Get out! Yeah. Get out!
Finchley begs his secretary to stay. He wants the woman's vagina. Oh wait, I wrote that. He doesn't want to be left alone for a while.
He definitely wants that. Later on in the episode, he starts making booty calls, but with no luck. Right.
And I love the fact that he blames his lack of female companionship on the phone, which is hilarious.
It's all right, man. We've all been there. I get it.
I also love the fact that he basically, like, the secretary implies that he wants Thomas Jefferson as his secretary. That's such a great little quip.
I know.
I liked her.
Yeah.
Miss Rogers. I liked Miss Rogers.
Can we talk about how she wrote 30 pages in 3 hours and we can barely get through a podcast in 30?
Yeah.
So she's like on point. I give it. Yeah.
And she like was quick. She was not like, clutch my pearls. What are you saying to me? No, she like immediately started firing back at him. I was like, ooh, she's feisty. I like her. Because in my notes, the note prior to that is this guy's a dick. And then it says, I like this Miss Rogers.
Well, on top of that,
the intro, we didn't talk about Rod's pretty cool intro on the TV screen.
Oh yeah. That let me say this real quick. She says she has had it and tells him to find a secretary with 3 arms in the mouth of an alligator. So that was quite good. But yeah. So the opening narration is pretty. I think it's actually one of the coolest. Where like he starts talking, so it like goes back to the first season. And all of a sudden, he's on the TV and he's talking to the TV, which is kind of awesome because it's actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it was kind of the cool way they did it, and it's I don't know if like they had the TV on and like they were filming in another room or something like that, or they did like what they did last week with Nervous Man in a $4 room.
I think it was superimposed.
It was superimposed. It was Lou McKee or whatever.
But it was quite good. Yeah. I mean,
very.
Can we also talk about the
size of that TV screen too? Like the TV was massive and it was like a 13-inch.
It's like that's the size of TV I had like in my bedroom when I was a kid, but it's black and white.
Yeah. But can we talk about how even in the 60s, Rod Serling was writing strong ass women? So like you would see this type of character like, oh, Mr. Finchley, oh, about your feet. She's like, no, fuck you. Go find yourself a fucking Jefferson. Bone him and get the fuck out of my life.
What I liked about her, she did show some compassion when he was like, seriously, like, please don't leave me, and he was like showing some innocence and for a minute, and she came in and she showed some compassion to him, but as soon as he started being a dick again, she was like, oh, fuck you, you shithead.
It was kind of like the last straw kind of a deal.
Yeah.
I like that about her. She didn't like bow down. She wasn't just like that typical character. What we expected to get from her.
Well, and even like a lot of the first season female characters, well, I shouldn't say a lot. There was a couple. There was A World of His Own, World of His Own. And then the one where he like steps into the world, like him and the actor, his actor self-trade sides.
That was A World of His Own, wasn't it? No, A World of His Own. A Nice Place to Visit. Was that it?
Maybe. But you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, a bitch of a wife.
Yeah.
She was just a bitch. But yeah, she was, I guess we'll call her strong too.
No, I just mean that's like those were 2 of the prominent female characters in that first season.
Sure.
But then on the other side, you've got like Mirror Image, and that's, a pretty interesting female character. And
yeah, she was a rocket scientist in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like when she leaves, all of a sudden the machines decide they're gonna become sentient. Like he's been complaining about them like attacking him, but now we get to see the sentience. We see the dancing woman with the, I can't remember what those things are. She's doing
Maracas,
the,
or not maracas. Yeah, what are they called?
Yeah.
I can't
little
think
finger
of the
symbols.
Yeah. One other
but
thing
she's
too,
like-
I think it was a time of day thing. Like after a certain time of day is when they started attacking. Because he always talked about how it was. I mean, it was always when he was alone, but
I think it was a fucking drinking thing. Did you see that fucking that huge brandy
bottle of
or
whiskey.
something? It was
Yeah.
full of whiskey or brandy or something with, and like he just killed it. And I was like, damn, did you drink enough? You wonder why you're seeing shit. Jesus, if I drank that whole bottle like that, I'd be fucking schmammered as I wouldn't wake up.
See, I think it was the machines that were drinking the booze and they were going out to cause like sophomoric pranks.
I know this is a precursor to Animal House or Porky's or Revenge of the
It's all
Nerds.
animals or
Yeah.
machines.
But
Yeah, they're getting the robotic crane and putting it up in the dean's office.
It's the beginning of Skynet.
Yeah, right. Literally, like when they were attacking him, and I think this is even before the razor situation. That's when the act ends. So I guess I gotta actually ask you guys. I know Triv, you really enjoy this episode, but like as a Twilight Zone episode and how this episode is playing out, do you find this episode more of like Rod Serling is on like, I don't know what comedy show would be back to Merle, was it
Merle
Haggard?
Marv
Haggard.
Griffith.
Yeah, Merle Griffiths or something. You know, it felt like it was so weird. I was like watching some like, this is an entertaining episode, but it doesn't feel like a Twilight Zone episode outside of the machines turning into, you know, the machines from, of course, Maximum Overdrive. It's such a weird. Then I didn't even get to, you know, Jacob and his Mortal Kombat scream, and you know,
Yeah, she said, if you'd like to engage in Mortal Kombat.
but
That's what
I mean,
Roger says.
but tell me, I mean, I'll have Jacob. You go first. Tell me what you thought of the first act of this series, this episode. Like,
Honestly,
what do you think?
I
don't know.
actually thought of this very question while I was watching the first act of this episode, because I was like, I don't know. I wasn't bored, but I was just like, what's happening? What's going on here? There's just not much going on. The part where Mrs. Rogers and Finchley spoke, and the part at the very end of it when he's trying to get a booty call with no luck because he's a fucking piece of shit douchebag. I like those two parts, but beyond that, there just isn't much. We find out he hasn't been sleeping and he's really bad with electronics.
Massively so.
Beyond that, we don't really find much out in the episode. I mean, we see like, you know, the typewriter saying some stuff and all that, and we're just kind of like, is that real? Is it not? But nothing really like big. It's just kind of like, okay, where's this going? Because you don't know. I'm sitting there watching. I was like, I have no idea where this is going. I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure we'll find out by the end. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
There's also the kid. Well, I guess that's probably the second half, but there's the kid with
I
the
want to talk about the kid. The popsicle kid. He made me very
the bomb
uncomfortable.
pop.
The kid with the popsicle is making me extremely uncomfortable in that whole scene.
But to you, Triv, I mean, you enjoy this episode, but you know, from a critic's standpoint, what did you think? Like, is it something that sticks with you as a good episode, or do you feel like it falters? Like, how do you feel on the? I'm not talking about as a fan aspect.
I understand.
I critic.
Yeah.
Critic.
The critic. I can't do the finger movements, but I understand
Critique.
the point. Critique. Finger in there, pinky in there. I mean, it's definitely a comeuppance movie or comeuppance type of episode. Yeah, it's one that I remember because of goofy things like the shaver going down the stairs and stuff, and just the amount of dickness that comes through with this guy. It's dickness.
You like it, the
amount of dickness. I hope
Yes.
I'm remembered for the amount of dickness that I have.
I mean, it's a goofy episode, and I don't think it's one that you. Yeah, I do very much like goofy episodes. They're like, you know, the serious ones that leave you with stuff. Those are always good and they're ones to remember. But I'm just the kind of person that like, there's so much in the world that is so heavy and dark, episodes like this that are just weird and strange and just kind of come out of left field have always been the ones that I gravitate towards. So for this one, it's one of those that just stands out because it is so damn weird. But I do think there's something to be said, and I guess I'm looking at this from that perspective, but there is the things that he cannot control. Like, he's a bachelor, he has very few friends, he doesn't, like, he's a recluse. Anything that's outside of his control becomes those things that he's just like, oh my God, these things suck. He put his head through there, he put something through the TV, he smashes the clock, the chair, all these things.
Beat the fuck out of that clock with a fucking poking iron fire poker.
Exactly. And I mean, I think that from the perspective of, and I guess I shouldn't say there is something to be seen in this, but I think if there's any lesson, that's probably what it is, that you're seeing a man that has lost control in his own mind.
And maybe it does speak to technology a little bit, like Nick was saying, because maybe he sees that he's losing control more and more every day because technology is growing and taking over.
I mean, there's an episode later on, and I wish I could say what season it's from, but I think it's Buster Keaton, and he's in like the 1890s, I think, and he goes forward to modern times, or he goes backwards to 1890s. One way or the other, he ends up in the 1890s, and he just can't handle the technology changes, and it's that same sort of a story type of thing. But
wait, Buster Keaton was in a Twilight Zone episode?
It was him, or who's the other guy? Yeah, it was Buster Keaton.
Was Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, it's a very similar episode.
I agree.
I know this episode. I know
it had funny moments, goofy moments, but I don't feel like the tone of the episode was a goofy Twilight Zone tone, because we've seen goofy Twilight Zone.
Yeah, true.
And I didn't get that tone from it. I think there are some things that are in it that are kind of goofy and funny.
It feels like a camp, very campy, I guess, is what I would.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm cool with that as long as you're entertaining, as long as we understand what's going on by the end, which I'm sure we will. For sure.
But I mean, there's a lot of episodes that leave you not quite knowing how why things are happening, because at the end we still don't know if it's booze. What? You want me to say something different? I'm just saying it as it is.
They give us something. We gonna skip straight to the end?
Well,
this motherfucker don't give a shit. Well, it's pointless.
Well, you still need to talk about the kid.
Pointless. Popsicle Kid?
Yeah, Popsicle Kid.
He's like.
Well, okay, so let's get into the second part.
Oh my God, the porn! Oh baby. Okay, Beavis and Butthead.
So this is when all the weird kind of crazy stuff happens in the second act. Of course, Finchley is trying to call and get booty calls, as we've talked about. He walks into his bathroom, and is this when the razor kind of like somehow just rises up
snake
like the
charms?
Dead? Yeah, snake charms.
And the walls look like a a big old tree.
Yeah, there's like cherubs, and I said I put down. Tripp said it looks like it's made of wood. Yes, Tripp loves wood.
Mm-hmm.
You know that type of thing.
I just want to say about this whole thing. This thing raises up like it's being charmed by a snake charmer from Indiana Jones, and it's just coming up and it's me, and he takes it really well. Like, there's this weird ass shit. Okay, the typewriter thing was like, oh, that's crazy. The TV thing was like, oh, maybe I miss her. Oh, you could give some, like, as far out there as it is, some weird reasons for some of the shit that he's experienced up to this point. This motherfucker just raises up and is in the middle of the room going, nee, like a king cobra. And he just goes, and like walks off. I'm like,
he freaks out more about the phone talking to him than he does about the razor.
Yeah, he's like, wah! I'm like, really? That's what phones are for. Maybe you just got like in on somebody else's line. It's a fucking razor that's coming up trying to like strike you.
But look at all the ghost stuff over time. Like, there's always that one thing that gets people. It's like, oh, like Poltergeist. Oh, my kid can slide across the room. Yay. And yet it's, weird TV things that make people go weird.
I wanted the razor to do a jackass to him. Like, he turns around and it goes, like on the back of his head and takes out that chunk of hair.
That would have been awesome.
And then the police show up because apparently his car just felt like going in the middle of the street, hitting the lollipop licking kid or the
attempted.
I cannot stop thinking about what Jacob just did with the fucking beer. Oh my God. But he says, if nobody leaves, he will. I like how his car like almost killed this like kid, and he goes down there. He just like berates everyone. He's like, "You guys need to get off my property quickly, or I'll jong dong you," or however he says.
Aren't they in the middle of the street?
Yeah, it's in the middle of the street. He's like freaking at him and shit, and then he goes back in the house and he drinks like enough whiskey to kill like 6 people. You know.
Well, he is a bachelor and a gourmet food critic, so
I'd be naked.
Who's to say he's not naked underneath the robe?
No, there'd be no robe. I'd just be naked.
Well,
Like Matthew McConaughey up in that bitch with fucking bongos in the middle of New York.
Triv would drink so much whiskey she would become 3D animated.
Oh,
Cock and balls just out, testicles all over the place. I'd be painting pictures.
I would just order a ton of
My
nachos.
dick.
That's like one of the greatest jokes. I'm gonna paint pictures with my dick.
With this
Guys,
dick.
the videos that we've seen will change your life.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But he wakes up and he's in his house. I think he moves upstairs or some shit. Then the razor decides to come down the steps, fish line attached to it. And
Oh, it's so good.
I told Trev, I said on that 13-inch TV, it's like a slinky. But I told Trev, I said, I guarantee you on a 13-inch TV they would never seen that fish line. I think that's why it makes it more funnier when we watch it.
I mean, I'm watching it in 1080p, which it wasn't shot in that, but I mean, there's no back then it would have been so fuzzy. It's like watching a fucking Sega CD FMV back then. So I mean, they get away with a lot more.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's very apparent with the car. You actually see the person in the car.
Yeah, a few times. That's Nan Adams.
Makes sense.
So he runs out of the house, freaking out, and then the car chases him like some fucking bat out of the hell, you know, Christine level of car. You know, it's inspired by, of course, Christine, or Christine's inspired by it. And all I could think about, and all I kept telling Triv is like, Nan Adams has finally come back into full force. She's now on a rampage to kill this one guy who hates these cans or something. I don't know, but
she upgraded her car too. She got a V12. She doesn't catch that ass.
man.
Better
Like, it
did
also-
she become the car?
I wanna. She hasn't transcended, you know, the physical realm yet, but I wanted to. I did notice, and maybe it's just some car guy. I like cars, but this car, you gotta love them screeching tires on that dirt road that they're on. It comes around, it goes, and it takes off, and like it's dirt. I'm like, what? Okay, whatever.
It's doing some fucking Dark Knight shit where it's like it goes up to the building and just goes, you know, off the building on like comes back towards Finchley and stuff like that. It's doing some crazy fucking NASCAR nonsense, but
maneuvers.
Maybe James Dean was in the vehicle, but
There is kind of a fun. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say there's a fun piece of trivia. The stunt drivers use practical ways of disguising themselves so they wouldn't be seen.
Okay.
They crouched down behind the dash.
They failed.
Yeah, they did. But again, it was one of those things too, like you said, like with a 13-inch screen, you probably wouldn't see it as clearly as what you know it would be otherwise.
I mean, they're only like 15 years removed from the train coming towards the projector.
Oh, they're more than that, you dork. Good lord.
But this car hits boxes, and you know it's that type of thing, and then
Those poor boxes. There was no money paid to their widows.
Why are all those boxes there?
Who the hell knows?
You know, if you've ever seen Wayne's World, it's like, so you just move this glass back and forth. Yeah, we move back and forth. We just put these chickens in the coop. You know, he's like, I wonder if that's gonna be used later on.
I was gonna say cardboard boxes make up the plot points of a lot of very low budget movies.
Exactly. But to kind of conclude this review, this car, you know, this guy falls into the water because the car's like, you know, in Austin Powers, like 10,000 feet away, and all of a sudden the car just it finds itself in the water. It's very attracted to Finchley. Nan Abs needs some man weighing, I guess. I don't know, but
He
Yes.
Prometheus that shit. I mean,
He
could've
did.
just gone to the left or the right and been okay. And then did the car land on him? Because he fell in there and was
it's
like,
not really.
oh. And I was
They
like,
say
can he not swim?
well, they say he found him at the bottom of the pool and he had a heart attack or something. But I'm like, it looked like the car crushed him. So I'm like, I guess you'd only see his legs. So maybe they're like afraid to admit that the car was sentient, because the car is staring at the medical vehicle, just kind of smiling, as Triv pointed out as we were watching the episode. It's a very weird, depressing, disturbing ending that is not really that great, to be frankly honest. It feels like they're ripping off stuff that doesn't come out till 20, 30 years later. I don't know.
But he's also like, this car is flying around in all these yards. His neighbors, I assume, because there's other houses.
No, it is, but his property is so big, it's all on his property.
I mean,
So he's
that
got
fence was
multiple
terrible.
houses. Okay.
Yeah, that fence was like shoddy looking. Looked like they just put up with cardboard or some shit.
Well, the boxes were there. They were trying to fix it. Now, like the way that they talked about him being at the bottom of the pool, I assumed that he was trying to stay down there because he was so scared. Because they said that there was nothing holding him down there. I don't think the car crashed into him or crashed into the pool. Did it?
I mean, it was going below the water or something like that, or maybe he was going below. I don't know.
He went below the water. I think the car like stopped at the edge of the water. I'm pretty sure.
That's what I thought, but then I'm like, why didn't he just, backstroke to the to the shallow end?
Because he's a pussy.
Okay, there it is.
He's a big puss.
There it is.
He hates on machines and he gets what he deserves, so he's a big puss.
Goddamn pussies. They ain't like me, a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus.
And that's the end of the episode. I usually ask you what you guys think of the episode, but I wanted to close the narration before I actually forget. So
Good
Jacob, hit us with that quality 2-line narration.
It could just be that Mr. Bartlett Finchley succumbed from a heart attack and a set of delusions. It could just be that he was tormented by an imagination as sharp as his wit and as pointed as his dislikes. But as perceived by those attending, this is one explanation that has left the premises with the deceased. Look for it filed under M for machines in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, so apparently he loves Sesame Street because he's always like, file under M for machines, or file under C for Casey, or file under A for hot
Asshole?
cup of Uranus's
ass.
That's actually
you think about the time too. There was a lot of crime shows, so I'm sure it was probably going back to that sort of.
So with that said, let me go to you, Jacob.
Oh, we were talking about our thoughts.
Yeah, like after the quality narration that you always present. What is your honest thoughts of this episode? Do you not like this episode? This is the question I have, because you're kind of hinting that you didn't, but I know Triv enjoyed this episode, but what do you think of the entire episode?
I didn't love it. It will be. I thought it was pointless. I don't understand at the time of watching it, at least, everything that happened there was all good and well. And I didn't dislike the whole episode. And there were moments in it that were entertaining, I suppose. But after all said and done, it was just like, why is any of this happening? Why did the machines want him dead or out? Like, did they want him out of the house, or did they just want him dead? I mean, in the end, they killed him. What was the point? I mean, and I know Twilight Zone we've had some stories that we didn't get like an in-depth, detailed explanation of everything that happened. But we don't get shit here. Like, there's just, is it all in his head? I'm thinking that the car was driving around the yard. I don't think that was in his head. I mean, maybe it was, I don't know, but it doesn't really lean into that either. Typically, when you have these things where it's like, was it in their head? Was it not? It leans hard into both. So you can sit here and say, oh, it could have been this, it could have been that. It presents it as that's what we saw on screen was what was happening. Like, strongly presents it that way. And I just don't, even if it's a bullshit reason why he thought it was, why are they doing this? Why is any of this happening? And we don't ever get even an iota of that. I did like Triv brought up, or both of you, but Triv started a good point earlier about what it was all about, like being in control and losing control. That opens up. I wish I had thought of that before I, sat down and thought about it. But that opens up a little. That gives it a little bit. If it's that, I could see that on why he dislikes these devices, why they band together to murder him. I just don't know. And that left me kind of unsatisfied. I mean, there were some technical aspects to it, even though they were kind of like, the driving of the car and the people driving the car and blending in. Some of it wasn't great, but I mean, it's a TV show from 1960. I can deal with that. That part was entertaining enough. I mean, it was a good time, but the end of it, I was like, why is this man dead? Why did his appliances want to kill him? I do not understand. And why did that kid have that popsicle and molest him like that?
He's like the kid in I think it was the Monsters Do on Maple Street, where he's like too logical for his own good. It's like, does Rod Serling just not like the kids? Like, was he so upset that he had kids, or maybe they pissed him off so much he's like, you know what, fuck you, kid, I'm gonna make you lick a popsicle like a weirdo, and I'm gonna have you another one try to kill you, a bunch of neighbors try to kill you. And it's so weird.
It's official. Rod Serling does not like children. Someone let his daughter know.
Oh, I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Anyways, Trev, what about you? What do you think?
So it's been a hot minute. As with most Twilight Zone episodes, it's always that thing about looking at it from a critical perspective versus just a casual viewer perspective. And Jake brings good points, and I definitely, it's an episode that in the grand scheme is probably a cool idea with the basis of, okay, imagine if someone's like all of the modern conveniences that they have go off the wire. But even with that, like from the very start, like the clock goes off, and it's like, even if it's a wind-up clock, it's still not like a really modern piece of technology. But I like this one from the perspective of just how, maybe it's just from a modern perspective, but even when I watched it as a kid, like it was so goofy and it stuck with me, and I don't 100% know why, beyond the fact that it was just like the goofy ass effect of the shaver coming down the stairs.
That was great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Anything with that razor in it was amazing.
Oh yeah, could have its own show, really.
Next level.
Exactly.
Oh, Mr. Razor on Fishwire.
I do kind of go back to the idea, and I agree. The ending gets, the reason that he died, I'm assuming, is probably because it's a Twilight Zone. They needed something more than just, he wakes up and his head is shaved and, he got his, like, it would have made more sense for his head to go through the TV, or, his hand to end up inside the typewriter or something. But
or maybe give us something, like go a little bit deeper, give us something that gives a contrast, because like I said, as it's presented, that's just what's happening. Give me something to lead me down a road that says, this might be happening in his head, beyond just the obvious, this shit couldn't possibly happen and it's happening on screen, and he hadn't slept and he's been drinking. Give me one or two just quick little somethings, in there to make you think, oh, is that really there? Maybe like he pulls the typewriter paper out and he's like, oh, it says all this crazy, it says get out. And then he like looks at it later and it's blank or something, something that right. Puts that air of doubt that what we're actually seeing is not what we're actually seeing. And that may have, I still wouldn't have gotten the point. I'd still be like, why? I do think that your point, you brought your possible point about how it's just not being able to control things and how the world is moving on without him. I like that. I do. I think that you might be on something there, but still, it's just, I didn't get it. And I agree with Nick too. I'm sorry to cut you off too, but I agree with Nick too, but this does not seem like a regular Twilight Zone episode. I guess there's a twist. Appliances are coming alive to kill him, but that's it. There's just not, it was weird, man. It was just like a series of events. The first half really wasn't all that, I wasn't bored out of my mind, but it was just nothing really happened. And then all of his appliances just tell him they're going to kill him. And then they do. Okay.
I do. I was going to say, I do think too, just the, and this is far-fetched and it's probably not the case, but he in everything in his life, whether it be like a repairman, his secretary, or Thomas Jefferson, or any of the appliances that are in his house, there's never any respect for any of them. It's not like and not that you should say thank you to your computer or your coffee maker or whatever, but there's that sense of he's above everything. He's got such a high opinion of himself that and I don't think that leads to death, but I think that, I don't know if I don't think you can claim that it's the 60s and the stories were meant to be simple, because there were alternative ways that he could have ended up. The appliances could have put him in a very embarrassing position, being that he is apparently such a well-renowned, guy. But that
we've seen
requires
39
more
other
story.
episodes where they were able to use these storytelling techniques that they did not use here, or at least 35 of them.
Exactly. Falling 2 feet to your death by a slot machine.
Yeah.
I honestly think they put a whole lot. I know this was during the same period that they were trying to save money and stuff. Money was a concern, and I think that they tried to put a whole lot into that car driving itself gag, because back then they were real proud of that shit. They was like, yeah, because that car chases his ass around the fucking yard for like, I don't know, 30 minutes, but like, they felt real good about what they did there, how they had like the car and it was not being driven by anybody, and they had the people like painted white and stuff like that, like the upholstery, so they blend in, or like the top, so they blend in. I think that they put more thought into that and some of the other things, like making the razor do its dance and all that stuff. They put more thought into that stuff than they did what the actual story was, or what was going on. I feel like something's left out. I did the whole time. I was like, why did this happen? There's something I'm missing.
Well, when you watch an episode, right? When you watch an episode like this, and then you watch The Mask or The Silence, which deal with like, what the hell is this story about? And then you get to its conclusion, and then it actually pays off in really interesting ways. Sure. I don't think that's what happens here. I think this guy is already having these problems, and it just feels like they wanted to do an episode about putting, as you say, gags into it to make it more comedic and goofy than it is serious. And I think there's,
but they never committed to it. They never committed.
Well, that's the
to
thing.
That
There's like an imbalance of like, darkness, dark drama, and Nan Adams, or a guy in a car that we can see driving, trying to kill, and apparently a NASCAR sports roadster or something. I don't know.
Was that that razor supposed to be funny, or
I don't think it was.
What they had to work with, and I mean, because he did and the things that happened to him, he's just like, yeah, like he does that to the razor. He's like, a fucking razor lifts up and is like, and he's like, and he just walks into the other room like, there's no thing.
It
but like you said, then he gets a phone call and he flips his ever living shit.
Yeah, it feels like the House on Haunted Hill, the William Castle movie.
Oh my god,
Vincent Price. Where, well, but you know what I'm talking about. Where like the special effects are just like cheesy and
they're
weird
so stupid.
Yeah, but it's like there's some. I
really don't have. Yeah, something.
Because they're made around the same time. I think House on Haunted Hill was like 1960 or right around there.
I think they put too much. This is and we've run into this a lot nowadays. We got a movie that looks great and has like big mindless action and great special effects, but there's just the story's like just not there. They were there just to make big mindless effects and stuff, and that'll only get you so far. After a while, it just kind of loses any. You're not invested in the cool technical wizardry that they have because you're not invested in any of the characters.
Yeah,
and that's how I felt here. Now, I like the performances. I hated this motherfucker. I thought he was a dick, but I thought he did it very well. And I thought
I didn't even think he was good.
Everybody was.
I don't even think Richard Haydn, who's the actor who played him, was very good. I think he was trying to be, good and dark and brooding and angry, but he just came off weird and self-serving, I guess. Or
I thought he just came across as a dick, a pretentious dickwad that thought he was above everybody else, or everybody else was below him. From that perspective, I think he did it well. Yeah, it's a little bit highfalutin, but I think he did that well. But I mean,
more excitement out of the woman with the clapping things or whatever the whatever she.
That was an odd choice for the TV too,
Yeah.
Like to have the
house.
So I have a random question, and I feel like we've brought this up a lot, but and I know
42.
that exactly. I feel like the past couple episodes we've done have not felt like typical Twilight Zone episodes. Like as we've talked about them, like King 9 didn't necessarily feel like a real Twilight Zone episode. Was it Nervous Man? Like I feel like we've had this discussion on a couple of these episodes of season 2.
The
Maybe
last
it's-
one didn't. King 9 did. It just didn't feel very satisfying.
Oh, maybe that was what it was.
But I mean,
Jacob
it
wasn't
tried to have
satisfied
us
enough.
unsatisfied. But last episode, yeah, it didn't. It didn't feel like a traditional Twilight Zone episode. per
The
se.
ironic thing is season 2 has some of the best Twilight Zone episodes ever produced, but it's just like these first four episodes just feel kind of like they don't know what they want out of a Twilight Zone episode. It feels like they're kind of hitting that second season slump where, you know, if you ever watch a second season, it always has these problems where it just doesn't feel like it clicks, and then it takes the third season or late second season to finally click. And that's what these first 4 episodes have done, in my honest opinion, is just outside
Maybe
the
it was
genie. Yeah, I don't
maybe
know.
it was that they were encumbered by this whole, because I know it was a big deal about how much it's costing and keep costs down and all that, and they made a lot of cost cutting. They're probably more focused on that, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of those later, because we do have like a string, from what I remember from the titles, of great episodes coming up real soon. So like, and they're back to back to back. Like there's a bunch of, there might be 1 or 2 in there that in between them, and I don't remember, but I know I've seen some of them. And there's some great classic episodes coming up. I wonder if some of those were supposed to be closer to the beginning, but they said, hey, maybe they felt more passionately about those and said, well, I don't want to shoot those yet. Let's get used to this shooting on the cheap thing or doing whatever. Or trying. Let's do these few kind of more throwaway episodes first, that way, and then maybe we'll appease the studio. We can move on and do what we want with our other bigger episodes.
Maybe
I
it
could be
took
totally wrong.
It took to episode 15 with some certain episode that apparently you guys want as number 1. So
16, isn't it?
Is it 16?
15?
I think it's 15. Yeah, 15.
It's soon.
So we're 11 episodes away.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think this is a bump in the road episode. I think it's just not very good. It has entertaining moments, but I think in the end, it's going to be a forgettable episode. I'm telling you, we're going to look back at King 9 returns or whatever, or disappears or whatever. We're going to look at this episode and we're like, wait, that was the second season? Like,
yeah, it's very forgettable.
Yeah.
And it's just pointless. I mean, from my perspective,
Yeah, no worries.
it's just kind of, what is the point of this? What's going on? You never get any idea whatsoever that what's going on besides, you know, the appliances are coming alive. And like I said, I don't need like a huge amount of detail, but something. Give me something. Just suddenly they're all trying to kill him. I don't know, man.
Christine, it's all Christine, man.
There was
a
bit of trivia. The actor,
I think it was a stunt
Where is he?
driver.
was he a stunt driver? Because it said intern. His part was intern. I was wondering if that was the medic in the end. Maybe that's who they were talking about. I don't know who. There were no other interns, but it said that Jay Overholtz. He does show up on IMDb. He was, and he's been in another Twilight Zone too. Apparently, he was killed in an auto accident 5 years later. Which, when I first read that, I thought it was the main character, and I was like, "Oh, that is," because it says ironically and unfortunately, Jay Overholtz was killed in an auto accident 5 years after this episode. And I guess that would be ironic if it was the main character who died via vehicular manslaughter. But it's not. It's some
It's
other
a
guy.
stunt driver, I think. The guy that drove the
Okay.
car.
Oh, well, maybe that's what it was. He
Yeah.
drove that car from under a dashboard and drove it great, but then he dies in a car accident years later. I guess that makes sense.
Ironically, Richard Haydn, 23 years or 25 years later, died of an actual heart attack at his home in the Palisades. So, yeah.
Oof.
No,
So that car really killed him.
Just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
That's the way.
In the
cookie
bottom of a
crumbles.
pool.
Yeah. He was killed Phil Spector style.
Oh man. Oof.
Well,
Anyways,
my
enough of them. So yeah, it's Triv, I know you like this episode. I know you enjoy it, but okay, we're gonna get into the Twilight Zone ranking list episodes. The ranking list that is the greatest list of all time, as I always say. Is this better than last week's episode? I'll start there, which is number 23, which is Nervous Man in a $4 Room.
No, and understand, I really enjoy this movie. I really enjoy this episode, but I'm also not unaware of the fact that it lacks on several levels. Like I say, the shaving or the shaver going down the stairs slinky style is like the height of fashion in my book. Like the car was great, but for me, I love the shaver just because string.
Oh, it needs its own Disney Plus show. That thing's legit.
It does. It very much does.
I could actually see if this were a movie, this would be on your channel, Trev. That's what
100%. Oh yeah,
this would be perfect for your channel.
I would. I kind of, and this is just like top of my head, not looking really at what's around it. I could see this going down closer to like King 9, kind of like 28, 29.
Lower.
No. Screw you.
Go down.
We're not putting it at 40. I'm putting it at number 9 just to move Perchance to Dream further down.
No, we can't do that.
Oh,
we
yeah.
have to move it for Chance to Dream up. You gotta move it up.
Me myself personally, I'm sitting here looking at the list, and as I go through them, I'm like, what would I rather watch again? And I get all the way down to like around 30. Like Big Tall Wish. We started getting a Big Tall Wish. That one kind of bored me a bit too. This one didn't bore me.
I think Big Ball Wish had a better.
It had a message. Period.
Concept.
It had something. All things you can say that about fucking The Fever. I mean, it sucks, but it was terribly executed. But you knew what was going on in The Fever. It was saying something. It gave you something. You didn't just think. I mean, you knew what was happening. This one, you just don't know what's happening. You're like, what? I know what I'm seeing. Why?
I honestly, Trev, I know you want to put it up a little higher, but I'm actually going as far down as like Judgment Night.
Jesus.
Like, is this better?
I was just
is this better than Where's Everybody?
Oh yeah.
Because Judgment Night is pretty terrible, but it has
like Judgment Night.
Honestly, I would put this a little
right?
bit. Yeah,
the Nazi
I would put this
submarine.
a little bit above Judgment Night, but way below Mighty Casey, or because Mighty Casey at least had good attempt at humor, I guess. We're pulling
Mighty
straws
Casey
here.
knew what it was.
Yeah,
you got to get it that it was Mighty Casey was a departure from from how the series usually is, but it was a complete vision. I mean, you knew what it was, you knew what the story was, you knew what was going on. You didn't have to understand everything about the robot, but you understood what was going on, and in the end, you understood the message, the twist, and what was happening. And it was goofy, and it knew it was goofy, and it had that tone throughout. This one, you're just like, I don't know what the fuck they're going for here, and there's just no point to it. And Nick said it best earlier. It's like a David Lynch movie. Like you're watching this crazy shit happen, and you're like, okay, I'm really confused. But that last 5 minutes of the episode, it's all going to come into focus. It's going to click together. I'm going to be like, there it is. That didn't happen. The credits rolled, and it talked about the Howling Man next week. That was the best part of the episode. When it talked about next week's episode.
I actually may take it up to like number 1 for that point, but no, I'm just
oh my god.
But I'm with you. I think I'd rather watch this one over Judgment Night, because Judgment Night I really did like, especially the end. The end was a fucking mess. I like this one more than Judgment Night, but that is all the performances and the interactions between Mrs. Rogers and Finchley, and also really everybody, every interaction they had, like with the cable guy and with Mrs. Rogers or Miss Rogers, and that's about it. The booty call thing, the razor, these had no purpose, but at least they were entertaining. Judgment Night, I was just like, fucking hell, I don't even have to review this.
The problem with this, the true problem with this episode: no explosions. Plenty of car chase, no explosions.
Car chase, no explosions. What the fuck is going on? When he went to them boxes, it should have.
I could add that for you. I mean, I could add that in there for you if you needed to.
Should have had that car come out on fire.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, come on. It has to be better than Long Live Walter Jameson. That thing was a piece of shit. Like, I don't care how much higher.
He was like,
He's
has
Walter fucking Jameson. He's boring as hell.
You hated Walter J. I didn't mind that episode as much. I thought the end was a bit of a shit show, but I mean, I didn't.
But it has Scrimshaw in it. It has the guy from when he was the father in Twilight Zone.
For God's sake! And you know what? This one had a fucking razor that kicks some ass.
Honestly, at this point, say that between 33 and 35.
Yeah, it looks like we're between
fine.
33 and 35.
You know what? I will acquiesce.
Die on this hill, Triv. We're waiting for you to die.
And go ahead and put it right above Judgment Night, you little pussies.
Yeah.
Oh, see, you're giving too easy, man. If this was Perchance to Dream,
I don't
we'd be here
give
for
a
5
shit.
fucking hours. I would. No, I refuse. I have lines. I have morals. I've drawn a line in the sand. Step over it, I fucking dare you.
All I gotta say.
No, in all seriousness,
a gun owner.
Are you?
I'm not, but I have a katana.
I got.
I will take back that cup that you love so much.
I have a fork or a spoon. A spoon.
No.
Okay. So let's try to like bring it back on track. Are we?
Good luck.
Trevor, no. In all honesty, are you?
That's what you changed the show to. Back on track.
Are you fine with putting it below Midi Casey and Bug?
That is 100% cool. I can deal with that.
Okay.
I'm gonna go cry in the corner, but I'm okay with it.
I mean, you guys made my life 100% easier by me not having to do much of a shifting for this episode. So.
Oh shit!
No, I'm kidding.
Hang on.
Triv's doing all the shifting for us.
Yeah, my thing keeps being stupid. It keeps the thing for my face keeps like looking at my microphone and going, "Oh, that's a face."
The thing for your face.
The face detector on my program keeps seeing a face in my microphone as compared to my face. It's annoying.
The life of a 2D anime character, things and faces and computers with dots.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so with that said, we have I think we're gonna go ahead and put it there. So number 35 is a thing about machines, which actually is now on the second page anyway, so that definitely made my life easier. Number 40, of course, is the fever still, and number 1 is the monsters who do on Maple Street.
Did it make your life easy enough to where you could add in explosions now?
One day when we get to the end, I'll put explosions finally because I'll remember.
Jacob, I gotta say though, I'm surprised that you weren't about putting this above Perchance to Dream just to move it down further.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
We got next week for that.
I got it out of 10.
Well,
I got it out of the top 10. So we'll work.
It's
we
like
get
what, number 11? It's number 11. Wow, that's amazing. Your powers of persuasion over the course of the past 25, 30 episodes is just astonishing.
So you wanna pull it? You wanna bring this back up?
You want to do it? Let's do this, bitch. Come on, let's go right now.
Move that motherfucker.
Right now.
I'm saying number 10.
No, I already have it locked in place. There is no change in the list. Yeah.
You say that, but I think with some persuasion, you could be persuaded. Exactly.
Anyways, okay, so next week, hopefully we have a guest, but this is one of my favorite episodes. Is my intro, part of my intro. Thanks to Triv for, as always, we've already done Jacob's. I think we're getting close to your intro, which is the week after.
Mine's like 3 different episodes.
Yeah.
Rolled into one.
Yeah,
dude, mine was four of us are afraid of or the four of us are dying.
You're the original intro.
Oh yeah, my original one. Yeah, that was a different one, but
this is true. But anyways, this is an episode I'm really excited to talk about. I think this is going to be a top 10 episode. It's one of the most thought-provoking, iconic endings, thought-provoking story, things between 2 characters. Not a lot of budget put into it, but it has a banger of an idea being presented. And then, of course, is The Howling Man, which is directed by Douglas Hayes, written by the one and only Charles Beaumont, who wrote the story for this. It stars H.M. Wynette, John Carradine, who is the father of course, David Carradine, and there's someone else, Robin Hughes. Robin Hughes plays Howling Man. So I'm excited.
Gene Hackman, right?
Yes, it's Gene Hackman. Actually, he's in a episode of the series, isn't he?
Gene Hackman is? I don't know.
Yeah,
I just know the
Hackman.
character. The Howling Man always reminds me. Just looks alone of Gene Hackman and Young Frankenstein.
But I'm really excited to talk about this episode. I've been waiting to talk about this for a while now, so we're finally here, episode 41. Once again, we will hopefully have Ryan from Ryan Cam on to talk about this episode, but things change, so be aware if it happens. Just kind of roll with us on that. But anyways, with that said, Jacob, if they want to talk to you about floating razors, where can they find you at to talk about that?
Find me on my YouTube's channel, Jacob Anders Reviews, where I'm about to hit a subscriber milestone and should be doing, because of that, it will be after the airing of this episode, so I can talk about it. I will be doing a live stream where I celebrate said milestone, announce some new things and direction on some stuff for the channel. And also, the crux of the live stream will be me partaking in the Hot Wing challenge.
Woohoo!
For no reason other than your entertainment to see me in pain.
It's going to be a spicy
I always look forward to your
affair.
pain.
Yeah. So that more on that coming soon over on Twitter at Red Neville 2. I'll be putting solicitation for questions there and on YouTube and all that. And of course, live questions will be okay as well. Hopefully, by the time this airs, I've already hit that milestone and I can have all that stuff out saying, "Oh, this is happening."
Woohoo.
And guys, subscribe to his channel. He's so close to that milestone.
Mhm.
Really, no joke. Do it.
And even if
Do it now.
after I pass it, you can still subscribe.
Yes. No. Cut off at that milestone, and you're good. No, I'm just kidding. No, in all honesty,
YouTube will take some of them away over time. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
need a buffer.
Get like 3 past that milestone, you should be good. So,
Or like 10.
exactly. But
If
Triv,
you do
when people want to find out where you can do like the thing with the hand clamps or whatever, where can they find your content at?
Hand clamp.
Well, for sexual fetishes, no kidding. You can find me after next week when we make sure the Howling gets to number 41. Anyway, you can find me and my goofy ass content here on YouTube at Trivial Theater, and you can also find me on Twitter at also Trivial Theater. I keep saying it, but I should have a video dropping here in the next week, so definitely stay tuned for that. Also, hopefully more shit to come, so definitely stay tuned and all that good stuff.
Yes.
And subscribe to Jacob Anders.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Subscribe to both.
Subscribe to Jacob
Actually,
Anders.
you know what? Subscribe to all of us except for.
Subscribe to Movie Emporium as well.
Yeah, subscribe to everyone, please do. But you want to know what I thought of this episode?
What's that?
Nick said, "Hey, Jacob, did you like it?" And all I could say was,
God damn it. You dork fish thing, cunt,
"No, sir,
asshole,
I didn't like it."
dickweed thing.
And
mabobber.
as they argue about this, or I didn't like it, I am, of course, Movie
For
Emporium.
Chance to
That's where
Dream
my
at
content is
number 1 at this moment.
I did change up my intro a little bit. Jacob was not happy about that, so
It wasn't.
unsubscribe to Jacob. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, anyways, if you like us on audio feeds, you can know where to find it: Anchor, iTunes. Rate us stars, all that good stuff, Amazon Music, Google Play, and all that good stuff. But for myself, Jacob, and Triv, we'll see you guys next time in the Twilight Zone. Peace out.
Howling Man for number 41.
Bye. Number 41.
Yeah, that's what we need to do, a movie called Mother Humpers.
There's probably one
sure it
called it out there.
exists.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
If
I'm
nothing
talking
else
like
in porn form.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Movie Emporium. Jesus God. It's been a week. At least I have something to put the end of the episode. I spent like 30 minutes talking about Westworld episode 2 today, so I'm like in Movie Emporium mode.